Oh my, this is horrible. Why on earth did they use that weird color filter on Child Emperor not once, not twice, but 8 times? It looked so bad. It was honestly very distracting. It got to the point where I was starting to count up how many times they were using that filter. The problem with this series using that awful filter is that it doesn't even match the tone of the environment. It looks like somebody threw up a bunch of colors, plastered a word point, background and called it a day. It is so constant and I cannot stand it. It's one of the worst parts about this entire season, and honestly, it makes the drawing look even more hideous than it was before. The drawing isn't all that great, but when you have that filter on it, it makes it look even worse. And why was it Child Emperor having all those filter effects? The other characters in the episode barely had those effects, just Child Emperor. Whenever those effects come in, you know that the animation is not going to be good. The studio need to somehow visually stimulate the audience because they can't do it with the animation, mainly for the second half of the episode. But with that ranting intro out of the way, wow, it has been a very dramatic week for One Punch Man with getting all of these weird updates from the animator, accusing the foreign fans for torrenting this anime. I feel like Takashi doing all of that really intensified people's frustration and anger towards that episode. It is currently a 2.3 out of 10 on IMDb, a bit better than episode 6, but still pretty bad. And then you have the One Punch Man season 3 producer basically hyping up episode 9, which will be coming out next week. If that episode is not Sakugatopia, oh my goodness, the fans are not gonna be happy one bit, but it looks like they haven't even been happy throughout the entire season because it's been very mediocre. But that was last week's episode. What about this week's episode? Before I talk about the bad of this week's episode, let's talk about the good. I won't lie, I had my expectations very low the moment I saw that this episode had the first 2 scenes being sliding PNGs. And it did not help rise in my expectations when Flashy Flash taking out the purple and the 3-headed demon, feeling awfully anticlimactic with barely any animation. But oh my goodness, WTF, what on earth happened with this episode? When Flashy Flash confronts Gale and I was like, oh boy, here comes the sliding PNGs. But oh my goodness, I was completely and utterly wrong. Dude, this entire sequence of Flashy Flash and clashing was actually really unbelievably stunning. This might be possibly the best animation sequence of the entire season in my opinion. The way it seemed like it was all animating in one shot, I can't deny it, this was a pretty great sequence. Honestly, I won't lie, that might be the best sequence of the episode. There is of course this sequence where Gale Wind is fighting the two of them, and while the animation is nowhere near as great as that first sequence, it does actually move a bit. Yes, the animation is quite ropey, but hey, it could have been a lot worse in my opinion, and mate, we have seen a lot worse in the past. I don't know what it is with the animators, but they are seemingly giving all the better scenes with Flashy Flash compared to Gale Wind. After the two of them transform, the fight sequence with Gale Wind and Flashy Flash looks okay, quite ropey, but it's okay. But then when zooms behind Flashy Flash, I won't lie, the animation actually popped off for a bit. I don't know if this is a positive or a negative, but seeing the 3 of them just zipping and zooming around like glowing light bulbs honestly made me laugh a bit. It reminded me of them zipping around, glowing. Some of the light effects looked pretty cool in my opinion, and I must say that I do appreciate that this entire fight sequence started and ended within the same time span. It would have been very annoying if we cut to other characters while the 3 of them were fighting. I liked how it was all one continuous fight sequence with no cuts to other scenes. Both Gale Wind and lying on the ground being defeated, I won't lie, the art was pretty detailed. And Flashy Flash's cape and hair flowing in the wind, wow, motion dude. When Takashi Hashimoto said that they were going to pour in a lot of hard work in the next coming episodes, I can somewhat see what he was saying, in particular that first interaction, fight, confrontation. If we can have more of those type of animation sequences, then I think One Punch Man season 3 could actually end up being pretty decent. But sadly, I have a lot lot more to complain about than praise, so let's talk about the bad. I do not like the editing or the sound effects in this episode. There are so many times where the sound effects don't even match the motion picture, and the editing is possibly the worst edited episode in the entire series so far. While I was praising a lot of the flashy fight sequences, it was edited so abhorrently in my opinion. Flashy taking them out felt extremely anticlimactic. There was no flow or rhythm, it just sort of kept cutting, and I was not a fan of the music choices as well. I honestly thought that the editing more or less ruined a lot of aspects about this episode. I also disliked the two monsters' transformation. Again, they start to transform and then they just cut straight to them looking how they do in their final forms. Again, more bad editing, and their designs look atrocious in my opinion, particularly Hellfire! Fortunately, his fighting animation did look pretty good, but still a very bad final transformation design. This episode really blew their budget on the first half because the second half there was barely any good stuff. Like I said in the beginning, I couldn't stand any of Child Emperor's color palette filters. It looks bad. The fight sequences are really bad, and I don't like those streaky lines. They have to add them in because the animation is so poor that you are honestly better off reading the manga. I can't stand the kid that Child Emperor is saving, and honestly I feel like the second half of the episode just didn't really have a very interesting narrative. I know the anime is just adapting what came before it in the manga, but something about this storyline just doesn't work. It just feels extremely boring. I just feel like I am waiting for Garo and Saitama to just come together and do something about this Orochi guy. We do see the two of them teaming up in the opening, so my theory as an anime only is that the next episode will be Saitama looking for the main monster association lair, comes across Garo, and the two of them try to take down Orochi. Maybe that is the big bad episode 9 that the producer has been hyping up. Who knows, we just got to wait and see. Overall, the first half of the episode was some of the best One Punch Man Season 3 had to offer, but at the same time, this episode had some of the worst aspects of One Punch Man Season 3. Poor editing, poor sound effects, poor drawings, weird filter effects, just making this overall watching experience very unenjoyable. But will the quote-unquote most anticipated episode of this season so far, according to the One Punch Man Season 3 producer, be pure greatness or pure garbage? Who knows, we just got to wait and see for ourselves. Tell me in the comments down below, what do you guys think of all of this? Tell me. Like this video, subscribe for more One Punch Man videos, as well as other anime news updates, reviews, comparisons, breakdowns, rankings, and more. Thank you for watching. The Second Boy Dude signing out.